Hi everyone, good evening. Hello. Hi guys, welcome to the session. Okay, so I don't know अब तो कितने दिन बचे मेरी तो मैथ्स इतनी खराब है I can't even calculate but yes today we are in the today is the 14th of December, so we have 15, 16 and 17th को तो मैं honestly count भी नहीं करना चाहती. 17th I personally feel should be the day जिस दिन तुम relax करोगे, maybe just give a mock in the noon but उसके बाद शाम को तो I would definitely recommend you to stop studying. So we have 3 days and this is also the time where preparation is at one side, but emotions, anxiety, nervousness, all of that also starts peaking. Uski height hoti hai. This is the time, and for many of you, you don't know how to handle it, and many of you don't even understand the impact it can actually have on your score if you are unable to stay calm and composed in the examination. So I thought who better to talk about it than a student who's recently given CLAT, and not just given CLAT but also cracked CLAT with a very good rank. So many of you must remember Kevin. Kevin gave CLAT in the year 2022 and he also scored All India. He also cracked CLAT and got an All India rank 19. And so I have Kevin here and we're gonna have this very very useful discussion for you. पढ़ाई की बातें मत करना, ठीक है, कि भैया ये कैसे करें वो कैसे करें. Obviously तुम कर सकते हो towards the end of the session, but the session is more about how do you maximize your efficiency in the examination so that ऐसा कुछ ना हो कि मैम मुझे सब आता था पर टेंशन के कारण पेपर छूट गया. So I'm just gonna switch over to Kevin in the next 2 minutes. I just want more of you to join. By the way, hello Kevin, welcome. How is college going on? What is so great about it? ये क्या होता है? It's going on great. Please give some details. Okay, nothing to do. All right. So, but it's a trimester, right? Everybody has this myth that trimester means you have a lot to do all the time. Okay, I am getting some complaints that Kevin is not audible. I can hear you. They cannot hear you. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think, guys, abhi Kevin will be audible. Kevin, ek baar just hi,
Yeah.
Kevin. How is
Can you
college
guys
life
hear me?
going on?
Yeah, it's going on great. Can you hear me?
Will be audible. Kevin, ek baar I'll just look at it. Yeah, now they can hear you. Finally, right?
Yeah.
अरे Kevin is audible. अब क्या रो रहे हो? Now he is, right? Okay, perfect. So guys, this is the time where you have maximum tension and anxiety, or how to manage all of that, how to go about it, and why it's going to play a very important role in your selection or non-selection. Trust me, अगर mock में अभी तक 100 number भी आ रहे हैं ना, but CLAT वाले दिन your mental state is not right, you will not be able to clear it. So I'm just gonna switch it over to Kevin and let him talk to you guys directly, okay? And make sure that this is somebody who just gave the examination. He was in your shoes just last year. He understands what the process is, what are the thoughts that go through your mind, and just listen to the suggestions that he have, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you. Okay, Kevin, take
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, I'm Kevin. I recently did my CLAT in 2022, like just 6 months back. So, and I still vividly remember everything that happened on the D-Day 1 week before the D-Day. And so I wanted to start off the session with like a quote which I just wrote. It's not the survival of the smartest or not the survival of the most hardworking, but survival of the calmest. And I wanted to emphasize a lot on how important it is to be calm during the exam. And I've listed down multiple pointers, which we'll address in this session. But it's just very important to be calm because no matter how much effort you put at the end, it's what you do in the paper that counts, right?
Can you repeat the quote?
I just wrote it on spot. So, but yeah, it's not the survival of the smartest, nor the survival of the most hardworking, but the survival of the calmest.
Calmest, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, and again, it all depends on what you do in those 2 hours rather than how much effort you've put, right? Till now. So, which is why being calm is extremely, extremely important. And especially after coming to Endless and after meeting people, the first thing I ask is like, how was CLAT for you? What went through? And a pattern that I noticed amongst almost everyone's story was that they were calm, like for multiple reasons, which we'll address in the session. But anyway, so for me, my whole CLAT preparation, I wasn't really panicking until like I guess the last week where suddenly I started panicking like immensely, and so which is why I wanted to like have the session with you guys so that you guys wouldn't go through the same fear and anxiety that I did during my last week. So anyway, so starting off, I just wanted to talk about again, like how being super calm is very important. In fact, on the last day, like on the D day, I didn't care about the exam and I ended up sleeping on a bench 15 minutes before the exam. I slept and I woke up just in time to enter the examination hall. And in a way, that's kind of like proof of how calm you need to be to, I mean, obviously, don't really do this, but to the point where you're not like, oh, I can't sleep right now, sort of thing. I slept 15 minutes before the exam without a timer. I could have easily woken up after the exam also on that bench, right? And so, and not only this, so this is my story, right? This is my story of how I showed everyone else that I was calm. On the other hand, like everyone else around the center was either like talking to other people or getting very jittery. Some people were just very silent because they were very tensed. And that would probably be almost everyone at the exam center. And just being in that atmosphere where everyone's like, flipping through their books or, sitting with their books like this and being very tensed will also make you very tensed, which is why being calm is very important. And obviously I can say this right now because I've finally like cracked it and I don't have to go through this again.
Yeah,
But
it's easier said than done, It's one of those
yeah,
things where everybody knows you are supposed to remain calm. पर ये होता क्या है? Like कैसे कैसे शांत रहते हैं, दिमाग को कैसे रोकते हैं? अब घबराहट हो रही है तो हो रही है ना? What can we do about it?
yeah, so exactly, on talking to multiple people, I came to realize that there were multiple reasons as to like why they were so calm. So for me personally, I mean, I'll list multiple reasons as to like why I was calm later, but a general undertone to my calmness was a defeatist sort of attitude where I didn't really care which NLU I'd get, whether it was Nalsar or whether it was NUJS or NLS. It didn't really matter to me. While on the other hand, a lot of NLS students, and in fact, I think this is like the majority of NLS students, most of them came in with the attitude saying, okay, I've come here to do my best and I believe in myself and I believe that my best will be better than anyone else's best.
Okay.
So if the paper is hard for me, it's hard for everyone. So if I'm getting 60, everyone in the country will get 59 and I will be the only one who has got 60. So it's just like a difference of mindset, right? And you have to actually come into the exam hall with that sort of belief in yourself. I wanted to highlight two very specific stories regarding this. So, okay, try imagining this scenario. This is the story of someone who's in NLS right now. So he entered the examination hall and he wrote his admit card number on the OMR. And then he realized he wrote the wrong admit card number.
Oh,
so,
God.
yeah. So he went to the invigilator and started arguing with her and asking her for a new OMR. And she said, no, we don't have any new OMRs. You'll have to just make do with what you have. And he was like, what bullshit? Like, even if I make do with what I have, nothing's going to happen, right? Like someone else will get admitted instead of him, right? So, but then, and he spent like 5-10 minutes arguing with her and then finally gave up. And then he went down.
5-10 minutes just before the bell rang for the 2-hour time cycle?
Yeah, and like somewhat overlapping. So maybe
Okay.
like 3 minutes before and 2 minutes after,
Okay.
something like that. And then he was like, after a point, he's like, okay, fine. Like, this is not leading me anywhere. Let me just go back and sit and do what I can, right? So the part where I want to highlight is he sat down on the table and immediately switched on his studying or like his examination mode, right? Like completely forgot about the fact that this paper might not even be his. This paper might not even be counted, right? He completely forgot about that. And he told to himself, okay, now that there's this OMR in front of me, I've decided to just solve this paper right now. I will spend 2 hours and do the best I can. Whether I get in or not, I don't really care anymore. Fuck it, right? So, and then he sat, wrote the paper, and then he emailed the consortium the next day. And finally, now he's in Endless. And yeah, so I just wanted to highlight like how big of a deal it is, because the first thing your pen touches to the paper ends up being a mistake. Imagine the amount of tension you would have. Like, yeah, and it's solely because he completely like rewired his brain in a second and wrote the paper, which is why he is here today. And okay, then there's this another story which I think will be more relatable to you all, because I don't really expect you all to mess up your admit card number. But
Let's pause for 10 seconds here and actually acknowledge the fact that, guys, just think about it. All of you that you're here in the session, तुम्हारा एक क्वेश्चन गलत होता है और तुम्हारा मेंटल स्टेट खिड़की से बाहर जंप कर जाता है कि अरे ये वाला क्वेश्चन तो मुझसे बना नहीं, ये वाला पैसेज तो मुझे समझ ही नहीं आया, अब तो मेरे से क्लैट निकलेगा नहीं, अब तो मेरा पूरा पेपर बर्बाद, अब जिंदगी बर्बाद, और तुम पता नहीं बहुत कुछ सोचने लगते हो rather than the next question which is in front of you. And think about this guy, it's a real story. Somebody who messed up so big that they did not even fill the correct roll number. However, they decided, ठीक है, अब जो होगा, I will handle it later. But right now, these 2 hours I have, I'm only going to focus on the questions. Imagine if you can do that. That's that's the surest way to crack CLAT. Syllabus भी complete नहीं हुआ है ना, but if you can remain calm, like he said in the beginning, the CLAT is the examination where they're testing who is the calmest. Okay, CALM, Shant, who's the calmest among all of them. So Kevin, moving on to the next story that you have with the moral that you have for us.
Yeah, so the next story might be more relatable. So this is the story of AIR 7. And so she, during the examination hall, like, so she was just sitting and she knew, she was very calm and she knew that, she would do well. But while writing the paper, she kind of realized after a while that she made bubbling errors. And one bubbling error led to other bubbling errors like that. Yeah. And I think 3-4 questions just went wrong that way.
Okay.
And then, so she panicked for a moment, confirmed that she like messed up 4 questions, something like that, bubbling way. And then she's like, okay, fine. Now that I bubbled it, forget about it. I can't use a whitener or eraser, whatever. And then she continued solving. And imagine, like, after messing up 4 bubbles, she's AIR 7, like Karnataka state rank 1. So, I mean, which is a huge deal. One bubbling error, people go off the tracks. She made 4 consecutively. This is literally every aspirant's nightmare, right? And imagine, so she faced her nightmare in the examination hall, said, okay, fine. This is what's happened. From now, I'm going to do the best I can. Like, from now, this is the best I can do, right? Continue with the paper, right? And yeah, and now she's like Karnataka State AIR 1.
I know stories that are exact opposite of this. Like, I know a student who made this error and consecutively did all the answers incorrectly, and that was the excuse for not being able to clear the examination, because they did 10 questions incorrect in the OMR sheet and now they were not in the right state. So this became their excuse. By excuse, I mean obviously they were not able to keep. Yes, go on.
Yeah. So yeah, like you were saying, like there were a lot of people who used this or like couldn't keep calm after making 1-2 bubbling errors, and their mental state completely crashed, and because of which they messed up the remaining questions, right? So this is like a different side to the same story. She also made 4 bubbling errors, but she said, okay, fine. What's happened has happened. Now look at the present right now. I've made 4 bubbles.
Going to fall down, जिसको हम बोलते हैं ना कि गिरोगे. So I think, Kevin, you have very recently given CLAT. I gave CLAT, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 10 years ago. But like, I think that's true about the examinations कि तुम गिरोगे तो जरूर. कुछ तो गड़बड़ पक्का होगी तुम्हारे पेपर में, but how you come back after it, like, are you able to pull yourself up? That is going to decide what's going to happen next, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you want to think like in the present also, like, okay, 4 bubbling errors. Okay, fine. Like, what can I do now to rectify that? Continue with the paper as like in the best mindset possible, right? So yeah. And I mean, like, no matter what happens in your CLAT examination center, it's never going to be Pranshu's story or the things Pranshu had to face, the one who messed up his admit card roll number. So I don't think anything will be able to top that. So if he's able to be calm and composed after messing up the first thing he touches with his pen, then there's no other reason for you to not be calm and composed. But anyway, so now I wanted to come to like
Okay, perfect.
yeah, cool. So yeah, there are a lot of various factors as to why your mocks could go bad or could go great, right? And the thing is, those need not be constant, especially because you're learning from them, right? So a lot of people in endless, not a lot of people, but like a significant amount of people didn't really have like a great last mock on Friday, but still they scored extremely well on Sunday. So even if you do have a very bad mock on Friday, like your last mock, it need not be the same case on Sunday. But again, if you start thinking, oh, Friday's mock was very bad, therefore Sunday's mock will be bad, then it will be bad. Then forget about it. You really have to refresh your mind and go into the examination hall on Sunday. Then coming to my next point
No,
would
one
be
second.
that, yeah, yeah.
So to summarize what you've said, obviously the students are supposed to give mocks in the next 2-3 days before their CLAT examination, and they're going to use these mocks to work on whatever minor mistakes that they can work on in the last few days, to get a deeper analysis, to have a very firm strategy as to what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses. But at the same time, what you are suggesting is that they should not have this emotional connection with their mock score, in the sense like if the mock went bad, they should not feel that now my CLAT exam is going to be a disaster, right? So a bad
Exactly.
mock score does not necessarily reflect your actual CLAT score. All right. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Then coming to my next point. Okay. Again, this is not something I knew while writing the CLAT examination, but it's something I realized after like coming to endless, is that the number of mocks really does not matter. You can't really be telling yourself, oh, I did not study for 2 years, or I didn't do 100 plus mocks. Therefore, there's not really a good chance that I'll make it here. So the thing is, when I came here, I asked a lot of people like, oh, so a frequent question would be like, how many mocks did you do? And even you would be surprised. I heard a lot of responses that said 3, 9. So and okay, obviously on the other hand, AIR one took probably did like I think 150 or sort of things, which is
But
like an
then I think
insane.
the general rule is you should give as many mocks as possible. But these are just
Hmm.
exceptions. 3 mocks, 9 mocks are people with exceptions. We can't
Yeah.
make that the general rule.
Hmm. Yeah. So the point is that like now, especially that you're 3 days away, you don't want to be really telling yourself, oh, I've only done, let's say like 15 mocks, or I've only done 20 mocks. While my friend here has been studying for 2 years and has done like over 70, 80
Yeah.
mocks. Like you don't want to really go into the examination hall with that in mind, because there are a lot of people in endless who have also done 3, 7, 9, and they've also made it here simply because on the day of the exam, they knew what they had to do, right?
Yeah.
Then yeah, coming back to my next point is that your mock rank, like that you see on test series as such, doesn't necessarily have to be your CLAT rank, and which is something I kind of realized only after coming to endless, is that for some reason it's not like AIR one always got AIR like one in his mocks all the time, and probably far from it. I remember talking to him, and he probably said a lot like, um, when he used to do mocks, maybe 15, 30, 45, but more like people who got like AI 10, 20, 50, they usually had quite a lot of times they had a rank in the range of maybe 100 to 150 to 250, around there. Like it used to fluctuate around. It wasn't set in stone that they were going to get 11 or they were going to get within the top 10. So it was never set in stone, and it was not like they could even predict it for that matter, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I just wanted to state that, because at least this is something I wanted to tell myself before CLAT, because considering my mock ranks before CLAT, because in a, let's say, a test series, right, you're usually competing only with like 1,000 students, and then also your rank isn't one, right? And
Yeah.
then you would tell yourself, oh, in a test series I'm not one, where I'm only competing with like 1,000 students. Now imagine the CLAT where I'm competing with 60,000. What will you would kind of be like, okay, multiply my rank into 60 or something like that, right? No, that's not how it works. So, and that's something I learned only after coming here, that your mock rank also really doesn't, you know, um, correlate with your actual CLAT rank. Also, an added fact is that a lot of studious students who've been studying for the past 2 years, they have a lot at stake, right? Because it's 2 years of hard work, and then they are more likely to panic during the exam, and then a lot of things happen during the
Yeah, the
exam.
higher the stakes that you have, the more worried you are about the outcome. That also, that I've noticed with multiple students. Like the students who have only 1 month of CLAT preparation are the chillest. They're literally chilling before the paper, listening to music, and they go to the exam hall and they come out of it with flying colors. I mean, their score is somewhere around 90 or 95, which is a decent score for somebody who's prepared for only a month or two. But then there are students who've been preparing for 2 years, they've taken a drop, and they've, sort of had a fight with their parents about the career that they want to go in. So they have a lot at stake, and then they overthink everything. And because of that, there is sometimes this performance pressure that impacts their selection.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of crazy if you think about it that way. But yeah. Anyway, okay, this is something. Okay, coming to my next point, this is something I knew before my CLAT examination, and which is what kind of like consoled me and made me realize, like, okay, I don't have to be that worried. So the thing is, I lived in Karnataka. I had the Karnataka domicile for NLS, but at the same time, the domicile only stops at around like probably rank 250, right?
Okay.
And yeah, I nowhere did I think that I would get within rank of 250 also. So probably 250 or 170. I really don't know. But anyway, the point is that um, yeah, the point is that I was just looking on the internet one day, and I found that someone who got a rank of 150 took NLIU Bhopal, while I kind of realized that he could have taken Nalsar instead, right? And then I kind of like asked him like, hey, like you got 150, but then why didn't you take Nalsar? Why did you take NLIU Bhopal, right? And he told me because it's closer to my house.
Yeah.
And I thought like that was kind of like a stupid reason, as like why would you choose a college based on your house's location, right? It's not even in the same city. You'll still have to travel. So, and then I kind of realized, especially now coming here, that like most of these, okay, let's say tier one NLUs to a great extent are very similar. For example,
Yeah.
okay,
It doesn't
yeah,
matter if your rank is worth NLU number one, but you go for NLU number three. It really doesn't matter that way. Like if you're in that same bracket, rank one, two, three, it's okay. You can shuffle if you want. Is this what you're trying to say?
yeah, exactly. So, which is kind of crazy because usually, if let's say if you had, okay, for example, this year, CLAT 2022, AIR 8, I think chose Nalsar, which is number three, right?
Yeah.
But why would you choose that when you could have chosen Endless instead? The thing is, it's not that rigid as like, oh, Supreme Leader, Endless at top, and then below that it's Servants. No, it's not like that. In fact,
Yeah.
all of them are pretty much on an even playing field, like very close by, right? And they're just like these small technicalities that, or like these small nuances that make like probably Endless number one, blah blah blah, right? It really does not matter. So if you were to look at like the NIR of rankings, and then you can open the PDF and look at their placements, like if you're really bothered about money and if you want to go for a corporate job, you can go and check their placements, and then you will start realizing that like the top 3 4 5 NLUs have very very similar placements of like, I think when I looked it was like around 15 lakhs median. But the thing is, they're all very similar. It's not the difference between sky and earth. When you look at, let's say, litigation, it's more about your contacts. So your NLU as such doesn't really play that significant of a role. And then when it comes to academia, these colleges, especially tier one colleges, provide you with like, quite similar resources in accessing academia, publishing journals, articles, access to library. Like they're all very, very, very similar. So, and this is something I knew before CLAT. Like the point basically being is that endless isn't everything. It isn't like, oh, if you don't get endless, like might as well like, leave the country, do something else. That's not the case. The thing is you have endless, NLUD, NALSA, NUJS, NLUJ, blah, blah, blah. Like these top NLUs, right?
Okay, so let's
All of them.
summarize this. The point being that guys, don't put the pressure on yourself that you have to get AIR 1 or that you have to get a rank in AIR 40 or 45 to be there in NLS Bangalore. NLS Bangalore, if NLS Bangalore is good, Nalsar is equally good. If Nalsar is good, and you just Kolkata or Gandhinagar or Bhopal is also equally good. Like if you fluctuate, one or two ranks above or one or two ranks below the college that you wanted, it really doesn't matter. There is a good bracket. Okay, I am not saying that NLU Raipur is better than Bangalore. I'm not saying that. Okay, so there is this tier 1 bracket and there's this tier 2 bracket and this tier 3 bracket. But within that tier 1 bracket, it does not make a huge difference. It's not the difference of life and death. It's okay if instead of rank 1 college, you get admitted into a college rank 3. And I think you will obviously have, I think, 100% the same amount of opportunities, not just for litigation, but also for corporate, 100% the same amount of opportunities if your college is just one rank below NLS Bangalore. It's completely fine. So don't put that performance pressure on yourself that in order to get a good career option, I need to go to NLS Bangalore. It's okay. Whichever college you land at, it's okay. It's important that you do your best on the day of the examination. All right, Kevin.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like a very passionate, let's say a GNLU student will overwhelmingly
Yes.
surpass an average indifferent NLS student. It's not set in stone based on your tag. But yeah, and these colleges also are very like popular for like different reasons. Or like, for example, NLS doesn't really encourage moods to the extent as other NLUs, but NLS has like, more importance on academia. Like these are the small nuances. But at the end of the day, it does not really matter. And anyway, so this is something that I knew, which is why I changed my expectation from like, oh, I have to get within 85 ranks to, oh, okay, now I can, like the leeway is much bigger, the stakes are lower. Okay, from 1 to 85, now I can get in a comfortable range between like, let's say 1 to 500, right? Something like that. So it's a much bigger range. So it reduces the pressure, right? Because whether I get into, let's say, NUJS or whether I get into endless, it really does not matter. I don't really care. So yeah, which was the attitude I went in when I wrote the exam. When I got the and when I compared the answers also, I think according to the answers keys, I was getting Nalsar and I didn't really care. Like, oh, I should have, if like, if I
So yeah,
didn't do
that's
one
going to
mistake.
help you like lower down the levels of anxiety because you are number one, guys. Those of you who are listening to this, see, number one, lower the expectations that you have from yourself. ऐसा नहीं है कि मर के कुछ भी करके रैंक 1 ही लाना है या रैंक 40 ही लाना है. अगर 100 भी आ जाएगी, it's not bad. अगर 200 भी आ जाएगी, it's not bad. You will still have a lot of options. In fact, the equal number of options in your life. Okay, how this happens when you go with this kind of mindset कि जो होगा देखा जाएगा, I'm just gonna do my best. So obviously तुम्हारी anxiety कम हो रही है ना. That's what he's trying to say since the last few minutes कि भाई all of these colleges, they are basically similar. So ऐसे मत सोचो कि एक कहानी बन गई है that I have to go to Bangalore. Whichever college you get, you're gonna make the best out of it, right? So Kevin, we have around 5-6 more minutes and then we'll quickly wind up the session.
Oh, okay. Anyway, then I'll make it quick. So right now, Endless is under expansion. So Endless will be taking, I think from before now it used to take 180 seats, but now it's going to take 240, I guess, which is perfect in the sense like it's one of the best moments in history to get into Endless. You have a much bigger chance. So that also would technically reduce your stakes. And finally, like at the end of the day, also, I know droppers in Endless who are far more like prominent figures in Endless. So it does not matter if you're like a dropper or a fresher right now. It all matters like what you do on the day of the exam. And it's not like, oh, if you're a dropper, like, you might not make it, blah, 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 blah. That's
Okay,
not
so
the
I have a
case.
question for you. Did you face a pang of anxiety or a pang of confusion while you were in the examination hall within that 2-hour period? did it happen for a minute or a few seconds?
Uh, so for me, like I was sleeping before the exam. So when I entered the exam, I was still like slightly hazy because, I just woke up. But, and the thing is, I was a little bit terrified. Oh, because like this will actually determine my future, blah, blah, blah. Like all those thoughts, like even if you don't want it to run through your head, it will still run through your head. But the person next to me didn't open his booklet and he just kept his booklet like this and just watched it like this. So I thought like, okay, he's not going to get anything. At least in comparison to that, I'm at least attempting something. Like, look at me now. So, and I went with my thing. And more like, and finally, like, this is like my last point, that it's more about the process rather than the outcome, right? And for example, and this is something I notice a lot also, like every aspirant probably tells a lot, like, oh, I got 2 marks more than last mock, or 3 marks lesser. But that's not the point. It's about, did you really enjoy the mock? What were the passages in the mock? Are you really reading these passages? Because some of these passages are very interesting. In fact, I think ALET paper, a lot of you guys have written it, and I'm sure you guys had like, the time of your lives. But yeah, I sent the ALET paper to my roommate, and the first thing he told me was not, "Oh, what the hell is with this paper?" or "Bro, the pattern changed." Nothing of that sort. The first thing he replied was, "Bro, this looks fun to solve." Like that was the first thing he said. So that's kind of like an eye opener, that like CLAT isn't a paper in a way to determine blah blah blah. Like it's about the paper, right? It's about enjoying every question. So yeah, if you are able to immerse yourself in the passage, in the paper, rather than thinking, oh, the 49th question went wrong, this will make the difference between Nalsar or NUJF. You don't want to be thinking that. You want to be more immersed into the paper. Think about what the passage is talking about.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So, guys, the last 5 minutes I'm gonna keep open for your doubts. I will quickly go through the chat section and I'll pick the doubts that I think are the most relevant here, and I'm gonna throw them to Kevin to answer them. But before I do that, I have my bit of advice for you. Which is that, see, after many years of teaching students and with a lot of experience, I've seen successes that have occurred, and I've seen students of mine that have succeeded in the examination, but I've also seen students who have failed in the sense who are not able to get a good score in the examination, right? But that's not the end of the world for anybody, and in fact it's a good thing if you're not able to clear CLAT. Honestly, I personally believe everything in life happens for a reason, and if I were not able to clear CLAT, imagine I would have been. Obviously, you would feel sad for a few days, maybe, but then after that, I would feel maybe my caliber was not properly suited for that particular kind of question, or that particular kind of question paper, or that field. Maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I'm going to shine in another field of study or another profession, and that's where I belong, right? So obviously your CLAT score is not the end of the world for you. Secondly, if somehow you're unable to clear CLAT but still you feel you're very very passionate about law, there are amazing private colleges in India, as well as there are state level colleges and local colleges. And I mean, it's a fact, even Kevin, you will agree that right now all the sitting high court judges and supreme court judges that we have, they all of them are alumni of different local colleges, as we call them, or state colleges. Okay, so this current generation of judges and great lawyers that we have right now, they are not the outcome of a national law university. Maybe after 10 years we are going to see some judges who are NLU grads, right? But right now we don't have enough judges or lawyers who are NLU grads, and they're still doing really good in their lives. Okay, so NLU, non-NLU, again, it's not going to decide your future. And lastly, I want all of you to be present in the moment. So let's take a very simple example. TikTok, Instagram, Reel, Shorts, whatever you want to call it. Just notice how the human attention span is sinking every day. So YouTube was doing fine. I mean, 50 minutes video, make a 50-minute video, make a 1-minute video. YouTube is doing fine. But why did YouTube also come with the concept of shorts? Because they have data to prove that our attention span is decreasing, and we don't want to watch videos that are longer than 30 seconds, or we don't want to watch videos that are longer than 1 minute. Reel, maybe dekho, the reel that is full 1 minute long reel doesn't do as good as a reel that's just a 10-second long reel with a trending audio, right? So if you feel like you're not able to concentrate, it's not a problem that's exclusively yours. It's a generational problem, right? It's okay if you're not able to concentrate. Let's just acknowledge the fact. But I want you to go in the exam center with an anchor. What do I mean by an anchor? I mean, maybe try some breathing exercises, or maybe try to think about your long term goal and try to think about how happy you will feel, or maybe try to think about what you will do once you're done with this examination, and that's going to be your anchor. Trust me, I can almost guarantee this. Out of that 120-minute period, there's going to be definitely a moment, चाहे वो moment 10 सेकंड का हो या 1 मिनट का हो, जब तुम घबराओगे या पैनिक करोगे या लैक ऑफ कंसंट्रेशन या थका हुआ फील करोगे. In that moment, I would suggest take a 10-second break. I know CLAT में एक सेकंड बहुत कीमती है, but I think आने वाला पूरा समय 15 मिनट या 1 घंटा तुम बर्बाद करो, उससे बेटर है take a 10 or 15-second break, take 2-3 deep breaths or a sip of water and close your eyes and then start again. Forget कि अभी तक क्या हो रहा है. Just forget about the fact कि मेरे अभी तक के सारे आंसर्स मुझे लग रहा है कचरा है, बकवास है, मेरा सिलेक्शन नहीं होने वाला. बट कोई बात नहीं, जो नेक्स्ट सेक्शन बचा है इसको अब मैं अच्छे से ट्राई करता हूँ. सो इट्स डेफिनेटली ऑल अबाउट बीइंग प्रेजेंट इन द मोमेंट देन एंड देयर. ये मत सोचना कि अगर सिलेक्शन नहीं होगा तो क्या होगा, बिकॉज योर पेरेंट्स विल स्टिल लव यू. अरे वो तुम्हें अभी डांट रहे हैं, इट्स ओके, सब डांटते हैं ताकि तुम अच्छा परफॉर्म करो, बट आई नो योर पेरेंट्स विल स्टिल लव यू. कुछ तुम्हारे रिश्तेदार जो बोलते हैं उससे तो कुछ फर्क पड़ता ही नहीं है. दे शुड रियली नेवर मैटर इन योर लाइफ. You should never care what other people think. But yes, your parents will still love you. You will still have chance of a bright future. तो जब ये सोच के जाओगे ना, तो honestly कुछ खोने के लिए है ही नहीं, right Kevin? You have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
The thing is, लेकिन अगर अच्छा perform कर लोगे, you have everything to gain. So go with that mindset that I have nothing to lose. My life is still going to be great. I'm still going to earn a lot of money and make a name for myself. But let's see if I can crack CLAT. कर लेते हैं, निकल जाएगा तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, नहीं निकला तो कोई बात नहीं, देखेंगे फिर आगे क्या करना है, right? So now I'm just gonna quickly go through some of the comments very quickly and then we'll end the session. एग्जाम में ड्रेस कोड क्या है बेटा? एग्जाम में ड्रेस कोड कुछ नहीं है. वेयर सम सिंपल कंफर्टेबल क्लोथ्स. डोंट वेयर समथिंग वेरी टैकी or like very revealing. Just wear decent, a blue jeans, a white t-shirt, whatever you want to wear. If there's winter where you're living, just wear a sweater, that's all.
And be mindful of whether it's raining or not also.
Okay. Yeah. Then I think most of the chats are about irrelevant questions. अच्छा Kevin, I have a question which I think will be very helpful for these students, which is this कि देखो, right now at this stage there are many students who will be scoring at the border of let's say 80-85. Now this is a score where obviously हमें तब पता चलेगा कट ऑफ क्या होने वाला है जब पेपर कंडक्ट हो जाएगा. बट दिस इज अ स्कोर जो यूजुअली कट ऑफ के बॉर्डर पे होता है, राइट? जब आपका मॉक या आप नॉर्मली 70 से 90 की रेंज में स्कोर कर रहे होते हो तो कट ऑफ 75 भी जा सकता है, कट ऑफ 85 भी जा सकता है. बट ये हमें पता होता है कि जो लास्ट ऑल इंडिया जनरल कैटेगरी की रैंक्स है वो लगभग इसी स्कोर के आसपास होंगी. सो do you think you can think about something that they can do in the last few days to like sort of push their score another 5-10 marks?
So I mean push up 5-10 marks. So usually something like just practicing, I guess, mocks, and especially probably in these 2-3 days, like putting special effort for GK and and just mocks. Like I don't really have any specific suggestion, I guess, because I've not been in that position, right?
Okay. So I think iska what these students can do probably is figure out there is at least one section in their mocks where their score has slight chances of improvement. For example, क्या होता है? Let's take current affairs for example. So out of 30-35, you're scoring 20. You feel like तुमने पूरे साल पढ़ा और तुम्हें बहुत सी चीजें याद है, पर पता नहीं क्यों फिर भी 20 के ऊपर स्कोर नहीं कर पा रहे हो. तो that looks like कि हाँ यहाँ पे एक स्कोप है. Maybe this is something we can work on. शायद एक बार और रिवाइज कर लेते हैं. Maybe one more revision can help us, recall the questions. Similarly, इंग्लिश में क्या होता है कि कई बार आप बहुत सिली मिस्टेक्स कर देते हो, इंग्लिश हो या लीगल रीजनिंग हो या लॉजिकल रीजनिंग हो, कई बार उनमें सिली मिस्टेक्स होती है। तो जैसे कि केविन ने बोला, गिव अ फ्यू मार्क्स, थोड़ा सा उनको एनालाइज कर लो। अगर तुम्हें अपनी मिस्टेक्स का एक पैटर्न दिख रहा है, जैसे कि तुम बार बार उन आंसर्स को चूज कर लेते हो जिनकी लैंग्वेज बहुत एक्सट्रीम होती है, सो दैट्स अ पैटर्न। सो दिस इज समथिंग यू कैन कीप इन माइंड फॉर द एग्जाम डे, और इससे डेफिनेटली 4-5 नंबर का इंप्रूवमेंट तुम्हें देखने को मिलेगा। दिस इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, इसका आंसर लेकिन मैं खुद दे रही हूँ केविन। किसी ने बोला है कि क्या सैम्पल पेपर की लाइंस पर ही क्लैट के पेपर की डिफिकल्टी आएगी? देखो बेटा, दो बातों को समझते हैं अंश प्रिय श्रीवास्तव। अगर मुझे पता होता या इसको पता होता कि क्लैट के पेपर का डिफिकल्टी लेवल एग्जैक्टली क्या होगा, तो अपन इसको बोलते कि क्लैट का पेपर लीक हो गया भाई, ठीक है, क्लैट का पेपर लीक हो गया। तो पेपर लीक नहीं हुआ है, राइट? सो ये चीज अनप्रिडिक्टेबल रहेगी। कोई भी आपको क्लैट के पेपर का डिफिकल्टी लेवल तो अभी से बता नहीं सकता, वो तो आपको एग्जाम हॉल में ही पता चलेगा। लेकिन मैं आपको बस एक सलाह दूंगी, मुझे ऐसा लगता है अगर हम किसी चीज के लिए प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं तो हमें हमारे प्रेपरेशन को इस माइंडसेट के साथ करना चाहिए कि पेपर बहुत मुश्किल आएगा। यू हैव टू बी रेडी फॉर द वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो। पेपर अगर आसान आता है, ऑब्वियसली ग्रेट, इजियर फॉर यू, बट तुम अपनी प्रेपरेशन इस हिसाब से करो कि पेपर मुश्किल आएगा। सो टू एवरीवन आई विल से सैम्पल पेपर इज एन इंडिकेटर ऑफ what kind of questions to expect, what type of passages to expect, and what could be the rough weightage of each question type. But sample paper is not an indicator of the difficulty level of the paper overall. And secondly, mostly in CLAT and all the other major examinations, they try to keep a balance. Balance in the sense, if there are 6 passages in the English section, there might be 2 passages, they are a little on the easier side. There might be 2 passages that might be a little bit on the moderate, and there might be 1 or 2 passages that might be on the higher difficulty level side. They never do this that all the 6 passages are going to be very difficult. They never do this that all the 6 passages are going to be easy. There's always a balance throughout. बस थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस आ जाता है कि कभी कभी वो मॉडरेट को ज्यादा प्रेफर करते हैं, कभी कभी हाई डिफिकल्टी को ज्यादा प्रेफर करते हैं। तो हो सकता है जो डिफिकल्ट वाला पैसेज है वो थोड़ा एक्सट्रीमली डिफिकल्ट आ जाए, हो सकता है डिफिकल्ट वाले पैसेजेस 2 की जगह 3 आ जाए, पर पूरे 6 पैसेज डिफिकल्ट कभी नहीं आएंगे। सो आई थिंक दैट्स इट। Alright, I think Kevin, I don't see any other relevant doubts, guys. कुछ पूछो ना, relevant doubts अगर पूछने हैं तो तुम लोगों को। क्या कर रहे हो?
Probably an additional point I wanted to probably mention was for GK, don't really expect GK to go as you expect it to go. Expect every GK question to be like World Toilet Day. Like it's a very random GK question, right? Expect all GK questions to be like that. So if a GK question comes which you know, great. But if not, that's exactly what you expected.
हाँ, yeah. They can always throw you off with GK. मतलब
Exactly.
हाँ, कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं, कुछ भी रैंडम। और हो सकता है तुमने बहुत मेहनत करी है, पर फिर भी ऐसे 4-5 क्वेश्चन होंगे जिनका तुम्हें कोई आइडिया नहीं है, एंड आई थिंक दैट्स ओके, राइट? सो केविन, जस्ट एक और क्वेश्चन है, व्हाइल यू आर रीडिंग द पैसेजेस, so while they are reading the passages, some students get distracted when they are reading, like in the process of trying to read and comprehend the passage, they get distracted midway, कि अचानक से ध्यान कहीं और चला गया, या पैसेज समझ ही नहीं आ रहा, फिर दोबारा पढ़ रहे हैं या रीड कर रहे हैं, या पढ़ लिया, टाइम भी वेस्ट कर लिया, पर कुछ समझ भी नहीं आया। कैन यू guide them a little bit here?
So, I mean, like usually what I would recommend is like using a pencil and like noting where you are, probably. So you don't like shift in between lines. And probably after every passage or like after every paragraph, try to like take a step back and be like, okay, so this passage is talking about why China is being aggressive in the international field. Then you go back to the next paragraph. Like probably that helps you like conceptualize or like set in stone what you're reading.
Okay.
So yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I think this is going to be the end of the session, guys. Thank you for joining. And thank you so much, Kevin, for joining in and sharing all of these important insights with us. But Kevin, do you have any last lessons for them? Parting words?
um No, not really. In fact, okay, I do have one. So let's say if I were the CLAT consortium and if I were to give 60,000 students a test on the alphabets, everyone would be able to solve them. And I could technically choose AIR 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. But if I were to give a really, really hard paper, only then will I be able to select the people who have actually put in effort, right? So, okay, if an easy paper comes for you, great. It's easy for you, you can solve it. If the paper is hard, it means it's hard for everyone. And you just have to really believe in yourself that you will make it. In fact, like for example, the GK 2022 was hard, right? Or like moderately hard. And let's say, let's look at AR 1. He probably got like, let's say 25, 27. But usually in his mocks, he would probably be getting like 31, 32. So
Yes.
when he's only able to solve 26, 27, he would be like, oh, what the hell is this? Usually in mocks, I do better. But that's not the point, right? You actually have to believe in yourself that like it's hard for everyone. I'm just doing the best I can, and my best is better than everyone's best. Or
That's
like,
very important. That's very important.
exactly.
This is a good parting advice that if you look at a passage or if you look at a section and you feel like it's not what you normally uh, prepare for, it's not what you normally see in the marks, or it's not even what you've seen in previous year question papers. If there's something new, something experimental, or something very difficult, it's not for you alone. You're not the only one who's going to deal with it. 60,000 other students will also deal with it. So if something is difficult, it's difficult for everyone. If something is easy, it's easy for everyone. So अगर बहुत डिफिकल्ट पेपर आएगा तो सबका कट ऑफ गिरेगा, बट रैंक तो तब भी बनेगी ना, तब भी कोई AIR 1 लाएगा, राइट? डिफिकल्ट पेपर में भी somebody is going to get AIR 1. So just try to do that कि जैसा भी पेपर आएगा, you just go with a good mindset, you just try to do the best that you can, बाकी just leave everything to the result. I mean, because honestly there's not much you can do when you're sitting in the examination hall other than just solving the questions. That's all.
Exactly.
Chaliye. So I have just one last thing for you guys, which is that a lot of you go with this mindset कि टाइम मैनेज नहीं हो पाता है आपसे, एंड यू गो विद द माइंडसेट कि काश थोड़ा और समय मिल जाता, काश थोड़ा और टाइम मिल जाता, और तो हम क्रैक डेफिनेटली क्लियर कर लेते. आई विल जस्ट से समथिंग हियर कि देखो, मुझे ऐसा लगता है क्लैट का पेपर इस तरीके से बनाया जाता है कि हर बच्चा ऑलमोस्ट 100 के आसपास स्कोर कर सकता है. एवरीबडी कैन स्कोर अराउंड 100, बट द पॉइंट इज इफ दे गिव यू अनलिमिटेड टाइम. So if they give you 3 or 4 hours to solve the CLAT paper, almost all of you will be able to score above 100. Right? If you have prepared, obviously, bina pade to nahi laoge, but if you've prepared, you'll be able to score above 100. But the trick is, how many of you can score above 100 in the time limit of 120 minutes? Just may you have to read the passages also, you have to you have to fill the OMR also, so obviously reduce a few minutes here and there. But the thing is, time management is going to be a very essential and important key in the paper. And I would suggest you one last thing here. Please, these remaining 2-3 days, have a proper sleep. देखो, आप ये नहीं कर सकते कि आप आज 14th दिसंबर को पूरी रात जाग के पढ़ो, 15th को आप पूरी रात जागो, 16th को आप पूरी रात जागो, और फिर आप ये उम्मीद करो सडनली कि 17th को आपका स्लीपिंग साइकिल सही हो जाएगा और उस दिन आपको रात को टाइम पे नींद आ जाएगी. It doesn't happen like that. So it's extremely essential. Nobody tells you this, nobody talks to you about this, but these are some important things I want to end the session with. Start working on your sleeping schedule from tonight. स्लीप इन द नाइट. अब जितना पढ़ना है दिन में ही पढ़ो, बिकॉज आप ये नहीं चाहोगे कि 18th को आप स्लीपलेस होके पेपर देने जा रहे हो. बिकॉज अगर अभी से आपकी आदत खराब है ना, तो 17 तारीख को अचानक से चमत्कार नहीं होगा कि रात को 8 बजे नींद आ जाएगी, सुबह 5 बजे उठ जाओगे और ऐसे मंदिर जाके टीका लगा के क्लैट का पेपर देने आओगे. दैट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हैपन. अगर तुम्हारी आदतें खराब है और ऊपर से अगले दिन पेपर है, उसकी नर्वसनेस और एंग्जाइटी एड अप होगी, तो रात को नींद आने में प्रॉब्लम आएगी 17 तारीख को. और अगर प्रॉब्लम आ रही है तो इसलिए मैं पहले से बोल के चल रही हूँ कि शाम को 6-7 बजे के बाद प्लीज कुछ मत पढ़ना, रिलैक्स करना, कुछ मूवी देख लेना, गाने सुन लेना, अपने फैमिली मेंबर से बात कर लेना, चिल करना, और उसके बाद try to go to the bed around 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. and just try to be there and relax and calm down, okay? और अगर बहुत अच्छी परफेक्ट नींद नहीं आ रही है तो भी पैनिक करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. अगर एक दिन हम थोड़ा कम सो लेंगे, that's not the end of the world, but it's important कि फिर फोन मत चलाना. नींद नहीं आ रही तो चलो फोन चला लेते. It's important that you lay down and you relax. And secondly, ये भी मत करना कि बिल्कुल भूखे जा रहे हैं क्लैट के पेपर से पहले, और ये भी मत करना कि भर भर के दाल बाटी खा के क्लैट का पेपर देने जा रहे हैं. ठीक है? हैव अ गुड ब्रेकफास्ट, बट एट द सेम टाइम हैव अ लाइट लंच. Don't go empty stomach, but have a light lunch. Okay. Similarly, प्लीज रीच योर एग्जाम सेंटर बिफोर टाइम. ये मैंने बहुत लोगों के साथ देखा है. एडिड एंग्जाइटी यहाँ से आती है कि अरे अरे जल्दी पहुंचो या ट्रैफिक है. तो प्लीज ऐसे लोगों पे भरोसा मत करना जो तुम्हें बोलें कि मुझे शॉर्टकट पता है, चिंता मत कर, मैं 10 मिनट में पहुंचा दूंगा. जस्ट ट्रस्ट गूगल, आई वुड से इन दैट सिनेरियो. रीच योर एग्जामिनेशन हॉल max to max at least 40-45 minutes before time, or if you're living very close to it then obviously 30 minutes before time. But I would say please थोड़े जल्दी पहुंच जाओ, because तुम लेट होने के डर से और एंग्जाइटी बढ़ती जाएगी कि पापा जल्दी गाड़ी चलाओ, लेट हो रहे हैं, जल्दी गाड़ी चलाओ, लेट हो रहे हैं. सो इसलिए ये सारी चीजें ना तुम्हारा मेंटल स्टेट पहले से ही खराब कर देंगी. एग्जाम हॉल में घुसने से पहले ही इतना कुछ हो रहा होगा जिससे तुम फोकस ही नहीं कर पाओगे. सो प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट यू क्रिएट अ गुड एनवायरमेंट फॉर योर सेल्फ विद इन दोज लास्ट 48-24 hours. And therefore these minor things like sleeping on time, eating right and proper food, staying hydrated, all of these are going to help you. So this is the end of the session, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Wish you a lot of luck for your examination, and I hope all of you do your maximum best and you stay as calm and composed as possible in the examination. Kevin, thank you so much
Yeah.
again. Bye bye everyone. Good